guys, this is your girl Neil. So yeah, today I'm going to be making some traditional beer, and I really just thought, I'd take you along, guys, and just show you how it's done and how to make quick and easy traditional beer. All right, so I'm just gonna show you. I just came now from the stores to buy. So what I have is some maize meal. I have the King Tombo Miller, and I have the Monate powder as well. This is the brewing powder. So yeah, guys, this is just the basics that I'm going to be needing for day one. So this is what I got. So yeah, guys, let's get it done. So the first step would be to warm up some water. Once your water is nice and warm, you would then go in with your millimil. So I bought a 10 kg of millimil, but I actually only needed to use about 5 kg of the entire pack. So that's what I went in. I put in 5 kg into the bucket. Following that, I then took some Tombo Miller. So for the 5 kg that I added 3 kgs, a whole packet of 3 kgs of Umqombothi Miller into the bucket. Once I have that in there, what I will then do is go in and mix the Umqombothi Miller as well as the millimil together, just to give it a nice stir, to make sure that all the millimil and Umqombo are mixed up together. There's no millimil left behind. Everything must be consistent and all mixed up together. And then following that, what I will be doing is then going in and adding some water into the mix. So this is very important that you add your water, because what you want to do is liquefy pretty much the dry ingredients and make it liquid pretty much. And for that you would need warm water. Just be careful not to use cold water or hot water, because we're not cooking it at this point. All we're doing is giving it some nice warm mix, so that it can rise quite nicely. So that's what we're doing here. So let's go ahead and just mix up and make sure that everything is all mixed together. Be careful not to leave millimil at the bottom, or that had the dry ingredients mixture at the bottom. So you want to get that satisfaction that everything is liquefied, is mixed up very well together. So what you then want to do is add on your chibuku or cartoon, really up to you what you call it, guys. So you want to give it a nice mix. So what the cartoon will do, it will really help and aid in the process of having it boil very nicely and rise. I think that's the right word to use. So it will rise very nicely. When you add the cartoon on, from there on, what you want to do is to go ahead and close it up and seal it. Usually we would use a blanket to keep it warm, because we really want it to rise to the level that we want it to rise to. Day 2 is cooking week. So you really want to prepare your fire. Make sure that you have your 3-foot pot there filled with water, and the water needs to boil at this time. So you can't use warm water. It has to seriously boil, so that your beer can cook properly. So once it's all boiled, what you will do, the mixture that we did yesterday, which we left overnight, we then give it a nice mix to make sure that we reach the bottom of the mixture and everything is nice and liquefied. We would then go ahead and add it onto the boiling water. This is now the process of cooking Umqombothi. So we go ahead and we give it a nice stir, nice stir. So the minute you start putting the mixture into the pot, you will see it's not quite heavy on the hand. But as you keep on stirring, and which is another thing, guys, you have to stir constantly. Do not leave it, because it will then start creating lumps at the bottom, and that will just spoil your whole thing. So you want to constantly keep on stirring. As you stir, it gets thicker and thicker and thicker, and you will then start feeling it becoming very heavy. But you want to stir it continuously to a point where it starts turning red, dark red. Then you know that you have pretty much reached your desired. You will see it becomes thick, not as thick as pap, but as thick as soft porridge, just thicker, you know. So you do not want to leave this unattended to. So you want to constantly be stirring it, making sure that your fire doesn't go off as well, because you need that fire. You need it to be as strong as it can be, so that it gets you to the desired results. So once you're done with that process, you then want to transfer your porridge onto a steel bowl. So just make sure you get maybe 2 or 3 steel bowls, depending on the size of the mqombothi you're making. But for these measurements, I think I used about 3 or 4 bowls. And the reason why we're transferring it over to the bowls is just to make sure that it cools down, because we can't move on to the next phase of this process if the porridge is hot. So you kind of like want it to cool down as much as it can. So to help in the cooling process, what you want to do is kind of like spread your mixture, or your porridge rather, across your dish. I think there's a whole technique in doing this, guys. You see, if you dig a hole in the middle and keep spreading it and turning it as you go, it really helps it cool down faster. So that's the technique you can adopt, guys. So once you're done with that, you want to go again, add some warm water. This is now after the porridge has cooled down. Add some warm water and keep mixing it together with your hands. You want to go deep in, with your hands. Give it a nice mix until we get to a result where now it looks like we have the Umqombothi beer all mixed up and ready to drink. But at this point, it's not ready, guys. This is the result you want to get to. You then want to cover this up overnight, and now we off to day 3 of the process, which this process in Sotho is referred to as hotlotla. Pretty much what it does is separating, or sifting rather, the mtombo from the actual beer. So this has to be done thoroughly. And once we're done with the sifting, then our beer is ready to be served. So normally people would leave this overnight again, but from here on, once the sifting is done, then you have completed your process. So day 4, this is how your result would be. This will be your beer, and it will be all ready to be served.